Okay, in this video, I am going to show you how to properly fill out the borrower information page in your Calyx Point software. So the first thing you do is log into your Calyx Point and open up the file for your borrower. And what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top. So you're going to ensure that you have both the borrower's name, last name for both borrowers. You're going to double check that you have the correct Social Security number and date of birth for both borrowers. At a minimum, there must be a home phone number for each borrower. This is the phone number that populates onto the application. And without a phone number, the application will not be accepted. Typically, this is a cell phone number. If you want, you can go ahead and put it twice in here in Calyx. But at a minimum, there must be a home phone number for both borrowers. Also, it's very important that you get an email address for each borrower. Oftentimes, we do an electronic disclosures, and having an email address for each individual borrower makes the process go a lot smoother. So in this case, we're going to have an email address for both John and for Jane. Next, you want to make sure that you have the present address. You want to indicate whether they own or whether they rent, and also how long they've lived at that address for. So in this case, it was 1 year. Secondly, you want to make sure that you have the subject property. If this is a purchase, obviously the present address and the subject property are going to be different. But it's important that not only do you put the address in correctly, but you want to double and triple check that you have it spelled correctly as well, so that there's no changes later on that's going to delay your file. Last but not least, you're going to choose a property type. You're going to come over here to credit scores. The credit scores are going to populate automatically when you pull credit. To make the loan partner 2's job a little bit easier, what we want you to do is put the middle score for each borrower in the box down below where it says minimum FICO, because it's just a quick reference for the borrower. Next, we're going to go to the loan summary section. The loan summary section is very simple. In this case, it's going to be a 30-year fixed mortgage. Now, if this was a USDA mortgage, you would put 30-year fixed space USDA. If it was a VA, it would be VA, FHA, and etc. But in this case, it's just a vanilla 30-year fixed. Now, we have a closing cost scenario button. If you know what lender you plan to use for this, what we want you to do is go ahead and click on the closing cost scenario button, and you can choose a lender in the closing cost scenario, or you can just type the lender in. In this case, it would be Quicken Loans. Next, you want to make sure that your name is chosen in the drop-down box. Search your name and make sure that you have it in there. And then for processor, you want to indicate who your loan partner 2 is. In this case, it'll be Jim Polino. Next, you want to choose whether it's conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, or other. If this was a jumbo loan, that would fall under the other category. In this case, it's a conventional. It's a primary residence. It is a first mortgage. It is a purchase. You want to make sure that you have the interest rate that you have qualified the borrower based on. This happens to be a 30-year fixed, so it'd be 360 over 360. Now, chances are by the time you get to this borrower information screen, you're going to know what the sale price is on the particular property. In this case, it's $350,000. The appraised value is going to be assumed at $350,000, and we're going to assume that the client is going to put 5% down. Next, you're going to scroll down to the income section, and you're going to break the income down for both borrower and co-borrower. Oftentimes, this is already filled out during the pre-approval process. Secondly, you want to come down here to the expenses. You want to click these boxes to open up the property taxes and the insurance. You want to make sure that you put a guesstimate of what the homeowner's insurance is going to be per month, and then also what the taxes are going to be on the property per month. What I suggest you do is you make these numbers whole numbers with no change. The reason why I suggest that is if you do the application with whole numbers, for example, $75 and $350, that tells me and the processor that throughout the processing process, as the taxes are received from the closing attorney and as the homeowner's insurance binder is received, it's the processor's job to put the actual accurate numbers in there. So if you put it in there initially as a whole number and you go back into Calyx to check in on your file throughout the process, if you do not see these numbers change from being whole numbers to something with change, then you know that chances are it was probably not done at this point, or the information has not yet been received. So all of this information that you see on the screen right here is the bare minimum information that must be filled out on the borrower information page prior to submitting your file to the Loan Partner 2 for an application. If you have any questions, please let us know.